One of the things that's expected from a spy or a secret agent is that they're able to handle themselves in the field. So that means that they're ready to throw down in some hand-to-hand combat, or they know how to handle a gun. Well, that is what we're going to talk about today and figure out how to do in Top Secret First Edition here on Classic Tabletop RPG Friday. Now, I want to say what's up to all of my leets out there, and if this is your first time coming to the channel, then welcome. This is RPG Elite. This is where I put the RP back in the RPG for you, my dear viewer. And why do I do that? So that you can have a more immersive and enjoyable tabletop RPG experience. And how I do it is by giving you tools, tips, real talk about the tabletop RPG space and culture, and tutorials like the one we're getting ready to go through today. Now, before we get into our video today, I want to clarify something that might have been a little bit confusing in how I present it. Now, I've been doing a product highlight for the Shivia Dice Tray. I say tray, and that's not right. It's trays. Let me show you what I'm talking about. The one that I have in the link in the description below is this one, okay? This is one of them, because you get like 3 more. So this blue one is one. This one is one. Now it says like yellow. This is not yellow. It's actually brown. It might look a little different, but it's actually brown. I don't know why they call it yellow. And then you got your pure black right here. And then you got the red one right here. Now this is the one that I use. And these things are great. Like it's for more than just tabletop RPG. I mean, if you're doing board games as well, these things work like a charm and work like a champ. But you do get all 4 of them for the one that I have in the link down in the description. And it sounds like when I did the product highlight that it was only one, not just one. So it's like $14 and change once tax is given. And do the math, that's a pretty good price. Especially if you got some people coming over and you don't want the dice rolling all over the place and they don't have their own trays. You can have one for them and be good to go. So, like I said, the link is down in the description below and you get 4, not just one. Okay, let's get into it right now. Top Secret First Edition, the basics of combat. Then after that, I'm going to see you on the other side with the question of the vid. So let's get ready to do this like Brutus, because you always knew this. 1, 2, 3, roll 'em. Combat in Top Secret 1E is involved and varied. Now, I know I've said in the past that when you see me covering combat in a series, that it means that we're getting close to the end. That's still true. However, combat is heavy and involved in Top Secret 1E. So we're going to be spending quite a bit of time here. There are 3 categories of combat. Hand-to-hand combat is the use of a close quarters weapon like a knife or club, or an attacker's body like punching, kicking, or wrestling. We all know about that. Projectile combat is the use of a ranged weapon or a thrown weapon like guns, bow and arrows, throwing knives, a rock. Underwater combat is a special environment combat where hand-to-hand or projectile combat takes place, and therefore it has special rules of engagement, which we will cover later on in the series. There are 2 main combat stages in Top Secret 1E, the combat phase and the combat turn. A combat phase is super quick, lasting 1 second. Normally, only one thing can be performed in a combat phase. A combat turn consists of 5 combat phases, or 5 seconds of game time. So in combat, you can be on phase 1 of turn 2, or phase 3 of turn 1. This is an important concept to understand as we work through the combat mechanics. There are 4 steps in a combat phase sequence. This sequence determines when a certain type of attack or action is made. two characters are within 5 feet of one another, they can engage in what is called possession combat, which we will cover later on in the series. If the characters do not wish to engage in possession combat, but they want to engage in normal hand-to-hand combat, they may do so if they are within 10 feet of one another. Now, I'm going to talk about that in a second. Characters who do not wish to do any of the previous options can choose to engage in projectile weapon combat. Now, the assumption here is that you need to be within 10 feet of one another in order to be able to move and be face-to-face for hand-to-hand combat in a phase. If you are further away than that, you would have to complete a movement action before you would be able to engage in hand-to-hand combat. This way, you can move and still engage in hand-to-hand combat in the same phase. On a playing field with tokens or minis, they should be right up on one another. Now, with projectile weapons, there should be some space in between whatever's representing you on the playing field, unless they're trying to do something like a point-blank shot. If no one wants to engage in any combat whatsoever, then they can just choose to move their full movement normally. To determine if an individual or group is surprised in an encounter, compare the surprise traits. If the difference between them is 25 or less, neither side is surprised. If the difference is 26 to 50, the side with the lowest result is surprised. If the difference is 51 or greater, the losing side is completely surprised. In a group, the lowest surprise trait of the group is used to determine surprise. Now, certain factors will adjust the surprise trait rating depending on the awareness condition and positioning of the two sides. A PC agent who has the advantage of a complete surprise can employ a sneak attack if the target is within short range, if that optional rule is being used. Surprised or completely surprised characters cannot use the called shots optional rule on their first turn. We will not cover optional rules in this series. However, if you are interested in them, then they start on page 45 of the core book. All right, so here we are in this diner, and we have Sarah, who is right here, and there are two bad guy agents at the counter right here. And she recognizes them as agents from an international criminal organization. So she's just going to try to take one of them out. In order to try to surprise them, she needs to be within 10 feet, because what she's going to do is do a hand-to-hand combat to surprise with one of her throwing knives. So what she will do, first we got to measure to see if she is within range here. So looks like she's a little short, so she got to move forward a little bit, which is fine. Move her about right here. Now we know she's within 10 feet. Okay. And now we're going to compare their surprise traits. So if we go to bad agent number 2 right here, we see that he has a surprise trait of 73. When we click on Sarah, though, Sarah has a surprise rating of 128. That means that she has more than 51 in terms of the difference, and that agent is going to be completely surprised. Initiative is determined by consulting the offense trait of the character and adding and or subtracting modifiers from the first shot determination table. This will be the net speed of the character for that combat round or turn. The character with the highest speed has first shot. The second highest is second, so on and so forth. If the situation changes in a combat phase that would affect the net speed, recalculate and reorder if necessary. So you don't have to do that every round unless something changes. Many modifiers are applied only once in a combat encounter, like surprise and drawing a weapon. The main modifiers that will change the net speed will be weapon speed, being wounded, and movement. Okay, for this, we're going to do a little bit of a different situation. Let's say they both recognize one another. They know that she is an enemy agent and she knows that they are enemy agents. So now they look at each other, they freeze for a moment, and then everybody is getting ready to draw weapons. So now let's figure out who's going to have the first shot. So the first thing we're going to need to do is pull up Bad Agent 1 because he's going to be the same as Bad Agent, or this is Bad Agent 2. So he's going to be the same as Bad Agent 1. And we're going to be determining his net speed. So first thing we need to do is look at his offense. His offense is 69. All right. He has to draw his weapon. So now we got to look at the first shot table and see where he's drawing his weapon from. And we're going to say he has a shoulder holster. So if he has a shoulder holster, he has a -8 to his offense. So let's just keep track of this with a calculator, even though I could do it in my head. So -8 is going to equal 61. Okay, so that's what he has now. However, that's not the end of it because we have to look at the type of weapon that he is drawing. So we go to his weapon. He has a 9mm Walther P38. And we have to look at his projectile weapon value. And that gets added to the offense. He adds a 42. Oh, good googly moogly, that gun is dope. So we add 42 to it. That equals 103. And then we have to take into consideration the weapon speed, which is WS right here. That's very fast. And so we'll move this over a little bit. Very fast gives him another 10. Let's add 10. That's 113. Okay, so he has 113 for his net weapon speed. There we go. We can close him up. Let's look at Sarah. She's drawing her weapon as well. And we're going to start her off with 96 because that's her starting offense. And we're going to say she is drawing from her waistband because she's out in normal clothes. She didn't expect to see enemy agents out when she's going to get something to eat at a diner. That's a -12. Okay, so let's go here. So she has a 96 -12. That equals 84. All right. But we're not done, of course. We're also going to look at her weapon, which is an M1917 police revolver. Her weapon speed is 28. So let's go to 28 and add that to it. That equals 112. And then you have to add the weapon speed. Weapon speed is fast, which means she gets another +5. And she just barely beats them out in terms of the first shot determination because she has 117. So that is what's going to happen on the first round. At the end of 5 combat phases or the end of a phase where no one has attacked, the turn is over. PCs get a chance to take a pause to recover, and then the next turn begins at phase 1. So there it is, the basics of combat, but there's like a ton more that we have to cover. Trust me on this. Like I said, it's involved in Top Secret First Edition. We got about 6 weeks of combat that we gonna cover, y'all. So keep it locked in right here if you want to know how to do the full Monty in terms of getting down and dirty with them bad guys. Nah, I mean, if you like this video today, folks, then go ahead and give a brother just a little bit of YouTube algorithm love and crush the like button. And also, hey, if you like what you see here and you want to stick around, then hit that subscribe button, and you might as well just tap the notification bell as well. Question of the vid is this: if you had to choose to have a specialty in terms of combat, we're talking hand-to-hand or range, what would it be and what specific discipline? So if it's hand-to-hand, maybe you're talking about judo or karate or Muay Thai or something like that. Or if it's projectile weapons, maybe it's guns or rifles, bow and arrows, throwing knives, whatever. Which one would you like to specialize in for your particular agent? Or maybe you, if you were an agent, which one would you specialize in? I want to hear from you down in the comments below. Well, that's going to do it for me, folks. I am going to get out of here because a brother has got to make more videos. So let me.
So exit, stage left.
And if you've missed any of these videos and you want to get in on the backlog, there's the playlist right here. So until next time, folks, God willing, happy gaming if you got a session this weekend. Peace. Head grease. 5,000 leaks. Oh, I'm outie.